Kerbal Space Program 2 has just been announced, and in this video I will go over all new features in Kerbal Space Program 2, I will compare it to the original Kerbal Space Program, and I will give my views and hopes for this new entry in the Kerbal Space Program series. Hey everyone, it's your boy, guy who doesn't upload very frequently. Fuck. So a quick update, I've been working on my thesis this entire summer, which has consumed a lot of my time. But I'm working on a video of my holiday to Austria, which I will share with you when it's done. And I've been also working on something completely different, which I will share with you at the end of this video. So, Kerbal Space Program 2 just got announced a few days ago, and I'm really excited for this game to come out. But before we really get into the differences between the first and the second game, you would say it's better to watch interviews from these major gaming channels to get information about the game, right? Well, not really, because they will ask questions like this one.
How do you create explosions in a video game that are awesome and terrifying and fun?
You fucking idiot. So for those of you who don't know, Kerbal Space Program is a game where you can set up your own space program. You can launch rockets, you can launch satellites into orbit of the planet, you can send a rocket to the moon and back. There's a whole lot of things you can do. And anything you do is basically up to you. It has a very steep learning curve, so it's pretty tough to get into. And the original game was modeled after our solar system. So we got Kerbin, which is Earth, and we got the Mun, which is the Moon, and a whole bunch of other celestial bodies. And yeah, that is Kerbal Space Program 1 in a nutshell. So Kerbal Space Program 2, what are the differences between Kerbal Space Program 1 and 2? So for this game they have reworked the controls and the user interface, but probably most importantly they have reworked the tutorials and the building mechanics. And I personally think that was a much needed change, because damn, those tutorials were fucking terrible. Well, not terrible in the way that the information wasn't correct, but in the way that it just was a real chore to get through. In each tutorial you have to read a lot. And when you're doing the tutorial, every so often the text gets updated as you're, for example, launching a rocket. So it could happen that you're launching your rocket and that the text is updating, so you have to read what you have to do, but you also need time to read it, and therefore you cannot do what you are reading. Does that make sense? And consequently you would fuck up the tutorial, and that's just shit. So I think it's a very good thing that they are reworking the tutorials, and more specifically that they're making animated tutorials. Not really sure what that animated part is going to be, but let's just wait and see. And what I found very annoying about the tutorials about how to build a rocket was that they tell you what parts to use, but they don't tell you why you have to use certain parts. And that of course results in the fact that you can replicate the rockets you've seen in the tutorials, but if you have to create something on your own, you're not really sure what you have to pay attention to. And that was, I think, a major flaw in this first game. And the same thing goes for building space stations. There's this one tutorial where you have to connect two parts of the space station, but that's basically it. It doesn't really say how you get those parts up there in the first place, or what the use of a space station can be. So that was very demotivating for me, and that resulted in the fact that I stopped playing this game after about 15 or 16 hours. And let's hope they rework their in-game database, because Kerbal Space Program has one right now, but that one isn't really that useful in my opinion. Okay, next point. Remember that I just told you that the original Kerbal Space Program was confined to our solar system? Well, Kerbal Space Program 2 will have interstellar travel, and will have some new celestial bodies. They've announced Char, some kind of a very hot iron-like planet. Oven, a ringed super-Earth with a relentless gravity. And we have Rask and Rusk, a binary pair locked in a dance of death, whatever that may mean. Not much to say here of course, but let's just hope I will be able to reach those planets. Not like in the first game where I haven't even been able to do a moon landing. And finally, perhaps the most exciting new features, we have a colony system and the multiplayer. Multiplayer! So the colony system, it will require you to collect resources and of course to take gravity into account. And I have to say that I'm really curious to know how they are going to implement this base building or colony building into the game. Because they could do it in the same way they did space stations in the first game, but that of course was a bit difficult. So I'm really curious to see how they will pull this one off. And lastly, you already heard that this is my favorite feature, the multiplayer. And I wish I could tell you more about the multiplayer, but we just don't know anything more about the multiplayer, so we'll just have to wait and see. But wouldn't it be cool if you could have two players in one rocket, or have two players fly two rockets simultaneously? I'm really excited to play that game with a friend, which actually brings me to my next point. Are you like me and do you sometimes don't have anyone to play a certain game with? Do you want to play a cooperative puzzle game, but does none of your friends like the game We Were Here? Or perhaps you want to explore space in Kerbal Space Program 2, but none of your friends wants to buy that game? Well, if that's the case, then join my Discord server. We've got memes, a hangout for subscribers, and most importantly, a place for people to find other gamers to play games with. Just type your message on our Find a Gaming Buddy server, and we'll bring you together. We will even provide you with a channel. And I know what you're thinking, because I thought the same thing. I'm not going to join the Discord server of someone on YouTube, I don't want to talk to them. Well, you're absolutely right, and that is of course not a problem. We have a majority of text-only channels, so we will only hear you if you deliberately join a voice chat. Also, if you want to influence the course of this channel, you can do that on the Discord server as well. You can give suggestions about games that should be played, or you can even play some games with us, so feel free to join. I just made the server, so if you're quick, you're probably one of the first people that will join it. And with that, I'm going to end this video. What are you most excited about for Kerbal Space Program 2? Is it the multiplayer just like me? Or are you more of a builder and want to build immaculate space stations? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.